Hello, everyone. This is Charles Dobbins coming to you the Monday call after the call. Tonight we had a lot of little housekeeping things, which I'm going to talk to you about. One particular question in particular from one of my students regarding, what do you do about finding money after you get the LOI accepted? But also on this call, we had Jim Lichty, as a CPA, who's a member of the group, talked about cost segregation. That's what he does for his group, for his practice. And he's also a member of the owner forum. That's the kind of people we get here at the owner forum. Top flight, absolutely the best people around. Okay, so Deirdre asked the question. Let me run through it. Do I make an LLC in the state immediately after I get the offer accepted? No. And you might not even be in the state that the offer is made in. You know, if you're making you do a deal in Texas and you live in Massachusetts, do you run out and set up an entity in Texas? No, not necessarily. You can set it up right where you are in Massachusetts. Now, what happens is you set up in Massachusetts, but you're doing business in Texas, you've got to file as a foreign entity in Texas, okay? Now, the other thing that you want to be careful about too is, well, maybe we can set up the entity in Texas, but we'll use Massachusetts as a choice of forum or the choice of laws, and you put that in the operating agreement. Now, here's what that means, is that if you get sued or if one of your members sues you, they're going to have to come to Massachusetts for the court and for the laws. And you want to do that because, hey, it's your company. You know, if an investor wants to sue you, have them come to your backyard and have them sue you here. Don't make it easy for them. So that's one of the things regarding how to set up an entity, when to set up an entity. Now, or the question is, when do you set up an entity for when you get a deal done? You can do it an hour before you close. You don't do it that way, but it really takes no time at all. You can set up an entity anytime you need to. You got to call the IRS. You got to call the state that you're doing it in. You got to go online, get the name, all that type of stuff. I have a whole lesson on it in one of my coaching calls. But it really takes no time at all. And you don't want to do it until you absolutely know you're closing on that deal, because you got to contact the IRS and get a tax ID number, and they know who you are now. And if you didn't buy that thing, they're going to want to know what's going on with that tax ID number. You got to file a return. So make sure that when you go to get the entity, you're definitely closing on that deal and you're going to own that property. Now, one of the things you're going to have to do is the bank is going to want you to assign the purchase and sale contract from whatever entity you purchased it in to the new entity that you just formed. And that just takes a piece of paper, and that's one of the closing documents, and it's just to tie up all the loose ends. So you're definitely going to do that anyway. Now, another question that she had was when do you create the classes of investors for the deal, for the LLC? Well, you don't do that until you are ready to rock and roll. You don't do that until you've gone through the due diligence phase. You've identified the returns that you're going to get on the property, and you know how much money you're going to need to raise, and you know what type of returns people can expect off their investment. Then you start to create the categories of investors that's going to be able to help you sell that deal as fast as you can to the potential investors. If you decided to do some form of seller financing, if you do some form of seller financing, then you're going to need to create another class of individual, and you're not going to know that until you're coming down to the wire. You've got the whole thing figured out. So don't start setting up the categories until you know how the deal is going to be structured. Let me see. Let me see. Do I need a syndication attorney in the state that the property is in? No. Typically, what we're going to be dealing with is federal law. I got some great attorneys that handle PPMs for me. I don't. Highly specialized field. It is not my bailiwick. I'm a multifamily transactional lawyer. So, but the syndication attorneys can be anywhere, okay, and they usually are anywhere because it's they're very structured as what they provide. They know what they're going to give you, and they can phone it in from Mexico. That was a shout out to one of my syndication attorneys. Is it the same as a closing attorney? No, it is nothing like a closing attorney. I'm more of a closing attorney than a syndication attorney is. So that is definitely nothing like it. If we have a property management company, do we still need your accountant guy And my accountant guy is Jeff Ecker, who I talk about all the time. Do we need him to do the paperwork and the distributions and all that? No, no, no. My guy handles the accounting for the property. He doesn't do tax accounting. What you're talking about here is determining the distributions. And once you make the distributions, then you've got to file a K1, and all the members get a K1 if it's an LLC. And then when it is an LLC, and you file the K1s, that's going to be all done by a tax attorney, not by the property accountant, okay? If we use your guy, okay, let me see. Okay, I want to present investors with paperwork they may be signing. Is there something standard in our owner's forum resource and archive section? And the answer is no. There's nothing standard about your deal. Your deal is unique. It's got to be drafted based upon what your deal is, okay? So just remember that you can show them what a PPM looks like. You can show them what a subscription agreement looks like. You can show them what an operating agreement looks like. But it's going to have nothing to do with your deal until you get those documents drafted to invite these people in as your potential investor. Okay. So that's what we talked. That was about as long as I talked about this on the call tonight. Then we spent the rest of the time talking about a whole bunch of host of other multifamily issues, and also about cost segregation. So this call, this vlog, you'll be seeing it probably at the same time that the whole call gets posted to all my students. And if you want to find out how to get into the owner forum, the fastest moving group in multifamily, just drop us a line, info@multifamilyinvestingacademy.com, and Deb will walk you through what it takes to become an owner forum member. And we would love to have you on board. It's a lot of fun, and we are all in this together, so we're all helping each other get the deals done and get across the finish line. So hope you enjoyed that, and I'll see you next week. Talk to you later. Bye.